BoogeyMan band coming round the bend. Is BoogeyMan band? Is BoogeyMan band?
Greetings, my fellow Fright Fiends. Thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. This is kind of a video that I've been thinking about doing for a while now, and I'm just really on a Stephen King kick right now. And I am working on a video where I'm going to be talking about the Salem's Lot script that I got as a gift from my friend Sam Straub. I have read it. I want to do that video a very specific way. Had wanted to do it this weekend, but just didn't have the time because of work and other matters that were going on. I actually had a passing in my family, so I had a funeral to attend and family get-together, things like that. So I just haven't had the time to put a lot of time into that video. Most likely it'll be within the next week or two. I am working on my Cujo tribute video. On August 12th, Cujo will be celebrating its 40th year, and I am reading this book by Lee Gambin. I bought this last year. It's called Nope, Nothing Wrong Here, The Making of Cujo. I'm still, getting started on it. It's a very lengthy book, very detailed, very much told in an interview kind of format, similar to what I've seen in other books that I've read, like specifically Crystal Lake Memories by Peter Brake. And yeah, I can't wait to finish reading this. I'm also thinking about trying to track down some of the locations from the film. So yeah, I'm going to be doing that. So that'll be in August. Also just wanted to put out there that I don't know, and one of the reasons why I've been having kind of a hard time doing videos lately, just besides work stressing me out and passing in the family, which is always tragic, and I think it's just been the arrogance that I'm seeing with some YouTubers. It's really bothering me, and I just wanted to let everyone else know that if you come here, I am never going to be that way. I've always been the same. This is who I am. I'm 100% every time that you see me do a video, and I really appreciate everybody's kind words and support and suggestions. The work that I've been doing lately, I've really been getting a lot of great feedback, and it really means a lot to me because I do put my 100% into this, and I want to always keep it that way. One day though, I do, I've been thinking about like dreams and goals, and one day I do want to have my own historic movie house. That's something that I've always wanted to do, and just recently I went and saw Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, which was fucking awesome, and I got a really cool the BoogeyMan poster, which I put up here in the Horror Zone Lounge office ceiling. I will show it at the end of the video. I still haven't seen the movie, but I thought it was too cool. They had posters for $10, theatrical posters, and it's going to it goes to a good cause. It goes to getting a better sound system for the theater. It is a historic theater, but I just had such a blast going to that theater, and it's the same theater that I saw Monster Go Home with my good friend John Russell back in November of 2021. I just really would love to do that and not do what I'm doing for a living. So maybe one day that will happen. I would like to have a horror genre movie house one day. So that's something I can always hope for. So that is something that I would like to realize my dreams before it's too late. But that being said, today's video is going to be talking about what I think are the scariest Stephen King movies. Now, I've been talking about Salem's Lot a lot. Now I'm working on a video paying tribute to Cujo, and I started going back and thinking about when I was a kid, and Stephen King, that's when he was being established as like the go-to horror novelist. They were adapting his movies relatively quickly, especially in the 80s. You had these, and you had just such great stories from this genius that I think a lot of people take for granted now. I've always appreciated Stephen King. I love his writing. I don't, it's hard for me to get into some of his books, but I always appreciated his craft, and I think he's one of the best storytellers of all time. And I just started thinking about the movies that scared me as a kid, the adaptions that really scared me, and even some that I saw when I was a little bit older. And this, with the exception of one of them, this is in no particular order. I'm going to start with the scariest Stephen King movie to me will always be Salem's Lot. And I thought I'd just throw that one out right away because everybody knows it's my favorite movie. It's the first movie that ever terrified me. I saw part 2 of the miniseries when I was 5 years old on November 24th of 1979. Chilled me to my bones, freaked me out, couldn't get up to go to the bathroom. I was so scared. Had nightmares of being trapped in the root cellar with the vampires and Barlow. Yeah, it's one that I'll never forget that fear. And then for some reason, 2 years later, it just became the greatest film in history for me, and one that I would watch every time I was over at my father's because he had the first VCR in my family, and They recorded it for me when it was just the condensed movie, the 112-minute version, and I watched it every Saturday. Fruity Pebbles and Salem's Lot. That's what I always say. For the rest of them, I just wrote them all down, and like I said, no particular order. The next one for me is The Shining, the 1980 Stanley Kubrick masterpiece with Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, Danny Lloyd, Scatman Crothers. That movie is absolutely terrifying still to this day, and it's funny because you really don't see a lot. It's all about atmosphere. It's all about Jack Nicholson, and Jack Nicholson seeming unhinged right when you see him in the film. And it just I remember the commercials for The Shining very well, and we had sort of like this really long gold couch. We had like a gold couch, a very long gold couch when I was a kid. And then we had like a love seat. It was a set that my mom had gotten, and every time the Shining commercial came on, there was the scene after Jack Nicholson kills Halloran. He sort of slowly rises up. You see him rise up into frame. That was how the commercial started, and I would dive behind my mom's couch every time because he terrified me. For the longest time, I couldn't watch any movie with Jack Nicholson in it. He was terrifying. I didn't see The Shining, the full Shining, uncut, probably until I was in my 20s. I remember there was an edited version of it. They had cut a couple things out of it that was on like TV 44, and I remember I recorded it, and I watched it, and I actually started reading the book that same year. That was 1995. I was really kind of getting into it then, but I was already 21 years old then. And it wasn't until like a few years later when I was in film school that I realized that Stanley Kubrick also made Full Metal Jacket and Clockwork Orange. It was crazy. I didn't put the two together. I didn't put that together when I was younger, just because we didn't have things like IMDb, and I just didn't really connect everything. But yeah, The Shining will still, I think, remains just one of those bone-chilling movies that every time I watch it, I'm just brought right back into how I felt the first time I saw it in full. And I absolutely love it, and I still think it's one of the scariest and best movies ever made. Next for me is a movie that a lot of people don't talk about, and it's funny because I'm doing research on it right now for my tribute video, but it's Cujo by Lewis Teague that came out in 1983, starring Dee Wallace, Danny Pintaro, Daniel Hugh Kelly, and Christopher Stone, the late Christopher Stone. Yeah, this movie is absolutely terrifying, and I just rewatched it after many years. I hadn't watched it in a long time. I had the honor of meeting Dee Wallace back in 2017 at a comic convention, East Bay Comic Con, and she couldn't have been a lovelier person. And I regret that I didn't have her sign my Cujo DVD. I had her sign my Howling DVD from Scream Factory. But Cujo's always been my favorite movie that she's done. And I did wear my Cujo shirt, and she loved it. And she should have gotten an Oscar nomination for that role. I mean, I knew her at that point. I think I was about 11 when I saw Cujo for the first time. So that would have been about 1985. And I knew her as E.T., the mom in E.T., Elliot's mom. And her performance in that movie, and I don't want to get into a lot of details because I'm going to save that for my tribute, but her performance in that movie, along with Danny Pintaro, them when they're trapped in the car and Cujo is attacking them, it's probably one of the most horrific scenes that's ever been captured on film, and I think people really need to go back and watch this film. I don't know why more people don't talk about it, and I'm a huge animal lover, so that movie is heartbreaking as well as it is terrifying. I mean, I have 3 cats that I love dearly, and I get so emotional when Cujo gets bitten in the movie and when he goes through what he's going through, because they do it so well to illustrate, what he's going through as he's getting more and more rabid. And it's a heartbreaking film. It's a terrifying film. And like I said, I think Dee Wallace should have gotten an Oscar nomination for it. She does such a great job in that film, just the panic that she's going through. And when I met her, I told her, I said, "You were my movie mom." And there is a lot of characteristics about her that remind me of my mom. I was an only child, and my mom and I were really close, and still are really close to this day. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing my tribute of the film. So yeah, Cujo, one of the scariest movies ever made, and easily one of the best Stephen King movies ever made. The next one for me is a lot more fun to talk about, even though it did scare me. And then that's 1982's Creepshow, which will always be one of my favorite films of all time. Just so beautifully done, and just all of the components that came together with the acting, with Hal Holbrook, Adrienne Barbeau, Ted Danson, Stephen King, Ed Harris, so many, E.G. Marshall, so many great people. The music by John Harrison, which is absolutely fantastic. That one scared me, but I had that comic book that summer before it came out, and I remember I knew how things were going to go, and I was just waiting to see what they were going to look like in real time, live, not as a cartoon or a comic book format. And I absolutely love that film. The Crate is still my favorite. It just had that great balance of fun, scary, funny, and incorporated the comic book, the EC Comics, so beautifully. It's a masterpiece. It always will be. And as much as I love Creepshow 2, nothing can top that first film for me. It is a masterpiece and always will be, and scared me and made me love the horror genre even more when I saw it. The next one for me is another one that a lot of people don't talk about very much, and that's 1985's Silver Bullet. This was my introduction to Corey Haim. I remember seeing Silver Bullet. I'm going to say I saw it in 1987. So it was around the time that, right before I had seen Lucas and right before Lost Boys. So it was my introduction to Corey Haim. And I love him. And I had never seen Gary Busey in anything before. And Gary Busey very much reminded me of my Uncle Tom, my mom's younger brother. He's had, lots of problems in his life, not to get too personal. But he was still that funny uncle that I just loved, and he could kill me with his the timing. That the guy should have been a stand-up comedian. He was just so funny and could make me laugh harder than anybody else outside of like television or movies. But in my family, oh, he killed me. And he was just that guy. He was kind of that screw-up uncle, but he was endearing and had a good heart, just made some bad decisions in life, and I just loved the Uncle Red character, and I love his relationship with Marty. That relationship was very important. That relationship is what solidified the film for me. Plus, I think it's just really well done. A lot of people make fun of the way that the werewolf looks. They say it looks like a bear. It's never really bothered me. I think it's creepy. I think Everett McGill does a terrific job as Reverend Lowe. I think he's terrifying in it. And everything I've seen him in, he always freaks me out no matter what, even if he's playing a nice guy like he did on Twin Peaks. Just the werewolf attack scenes that you don't really see a lot. It's more sound effects. It's fog. It's shots of maybe silhouettes or just a quick shot of the wolf. You don't really see it all the way. And then the music in it is really well done by Jake Hathaway. That score just is so good in Silver Bullet. The scenes where he's shooting the fireworks off on the bridge at night, and the scene where they find his friend Brady's body. That is terrifying. I don't know why, and it's what you don't see. And I remember watching behind the scenes on the Scream Factory release where the actor that played Brady's father says that what they had there looked like crap, so they just did his reaction to it instead, and I think that speaks in more volumes than if they had actually showed something. But yeah, Silver Bullet still scares me to this day, and after American Werewolf in London, this might shock some people, it is my favorite werewolf movie. Next for me will be Pet Sematary, original 1989 film. And again, I have great memories of going to see this with some friends from school, Veronica, Marisol, and Christina. They all took me for my 15th birthday. It came out close to my 15th birthday, and that was my gift. And we all went to see it at Hilltop Cinema, the second Hilltop Cinema. It was by Sears. And scared the crap out of all of us. And there's people that have always said that they didn't care for Dale Midkiff and Denise Crosby in the role of the Creeds, and I really thought that they were perfect in the film. People can disagree with me if they want, but they've never bothered me. And hats off to Mary Lambert for making such an amazing, haunting horror film that deals with the worst tragedy a parent can go through. That scene where Gage goes into the road, I still get goosebumps watching it, and it's the way it's executed, with Lewis trying to get to him, the truck coming down the road, you see the kite string pulled into the road, and just him stepping onto that road just as the truck is about to hit him. You don't see the impact, but you feel that impact. And another thing, Elliot Goldenthal's score. Oh, just fairy tale like. And that's something that Mary Lambert talks about in the documentary on the film, Unearthed and Untold. That there's this fairy tale quality to Maine, and I feel like Elliot Goldenthal's score just really captures that. I have no problem with remakes, but if something's already perfect, if something already just conveys that source material so well, and King adapted this from his own book. Why would you want to touch that and do it again? How can you make that any better? And even with some of the small details they changed in the 2019 release, it still pales in comparison to this film came out 30 years earlier. I will always love this film. It will always get to me. The characters in it are great. The setting is amazing. One day I do want to go and visit those locations in Maine. I was hoping I was going to be able to do it last year, but one day I will make it there, and I would love to see those locations from this film. I need to see them because this film means so much to me, and it's still, I think, one of the most terrifying films ever adapted from Stephen King's work. The next movie for me that I think is one of the scariest films is Misery, 1990s Misery, starring Kathy Bates and the late James Caan. Kathy Bates has been my favorite actress since seeing this film. This movie, it is so well done. You feel so helpless, just like Paul Sheldon does. On the scene where he finally gets out of the room and explores Annie's house, and then she comes home and he has to get back into the room. And it's so tension-filled and so well done. Yeah, I love this film, and it never gets old, and it's still absolutely terrifying to watch. The next one for me is going to be The Mist. Now, this is a newer film. This came out in 2007, directed by the legendary, the amazing, the great Frank Darabont, one of my favorite filmmakers of all time. Prior to this, he had done two of the best Stephen King adaptations ever made that were non-horror, that being The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile, both films that are absolute masterpieces. But not a lot is said about The Mist. I think the truth about this film is that it disturbs, but it hits all its points of what it's trying to convey. The movie has less to do with the monsters outside of the grocery store where everybody is held up as it does with the monsters that are inside the grocery store, that being people and what they do when they're in a crisis situation. I think everybody's performance, Thomas Jane, who I've always been a champion for, I think he's fantastic in the film, and I also love Laurie Holden. This is, of course, before she would do The Walking Dead. I had seen her in Silent Hill prior to this. She was also in The Majestic, which also was directed by Frank Darabont. But Jeffrey DeMunn, Francis Sternhagen, Andre Braugher, William Sadler, Toby Jones, Marcia Gay Harden as Mrs. Carmody, who's absolutely terrifying in the film and does such a great job in this. I think that this really speaks volumes about who we are as people and what would we do in this same situation. I remember seeing it Thanksgiving week. It came out right before Thanksgiving, and I saw it the weekend, and I remember people walking out, and my wife hated it. She hated the ending of it. I know they used a lot of CGI in this, and that's because they had time constraints with how long they could do the shoot for. K&B did design the actual animatronics that they weren't able to use, but the rest of it they did digitally. But I still think it works, and again, it works because of the acting. The acting is stellar, and Frank Darabont, who, it breaks my heart that he's retired, he did a fantastic job in this film, and for people that are hesitant to watch it, I know it's still on Netflix. Check it out. It's an amazing, amazing film, and easily one of the best Stephen King films ever made. The next one for me might make people laugh. Graveyard Shift. And I know a lot of people hurl insults at this film because of some of the over-the-top acting, especially from the character of Warwick. But I think it's so much fun, and it's a monster movie, and it was also shot in Maine, and it does have that Maine feel. And they're all down in the bowels of this rotting mill, and they're getting picked off one by this fat creature, which I thought was so creepy and so well done. And like I said, people make fun of it. They say it's goofy and stupid and whatever you want to say, and it is based on a short story by Stephen King in his Night Shift collection, but I think it works, and it's always scared me because I don't like rats, and I just think it's really good. It's bloody, it's fun, and I was really endeared to the characters, so it's like, yeah, it's fun. Can't take it too seriously, but it still freaked me out when I was a kid, and I still enjoy watching it today. Next one for me will be John Carpenter's Christine, which also this year is going to be celebrating 40 years. It's a film that's grown on me over the years. When I saw it as a kid, I saw it I'm going to say I was a teenager when I saw Christine. I saw it when I was in high school, around high school age. I knew Keith Gordon because I was a fan of his from Back to School and The Legend of Billie Jean, if people remember that movie. He's gone on to become a director, but I just really loved him as Arnie Cunningham. I also loved John Stockwell as Dennis. I thought their friendship is really the hook of the film. And other amazing actors in it, you have Alexandra Paul, who is lovely, and I've seen her in quite a few things. Kelly Preston, the late Kelly Preston, who I'm still devastated by the fact that she passed away. She was not one of my number one crushes, one of the most gorgeous women in existence, and she was great in it. The late Harry Dean Stanton, who can't say enough great things about him. Robert Protsky, who I had seen in The Great Outdoors. Who can't say enough great things about William Ostrander as Buddy Repperton. I still think one of the funniest and most intimidating bullies in a film. I love the dude, and I just he's so good at being an asshole. And yeah, he's fantastic in the film, and I love his first altercation with Arnie and Dennis in the shop. That whole scene is just so great and really establishes what a good guy Dennis is, where Arnie is, and then who Buddy really is. And on top of just the great acting in it, there's some just terrific set pieces on Christine going after Arnie's enemies, and the scene where Christine breaks into the gas, smashes into the gas station, causes the fire, and then backs up, fully engulfed in flames while chasing Buddy down the street. I still think is one of the greatest set pieces in motion picture history. The fact that there was really a stunt driver that did that. It's so eerie, and again with John Carpenter's score, and it's at night, and it's just the way that it's directed, where you see him running and it's dark, and then you can see him, and then you see the car on flames coming up closer to him. It's such a great film, and it's just so terrifying. And again, it just shows what a master John Carpenter is, and what a terrific storyteller Stephen King is. And the last one for me on my list, and this is another fun one that I think has gotten more appreciated over the years, and that's Maximum Overdrive, directed by the master himself, Mr. Stephen King. I love this fucking movie, and I've always loved it. First time I saw it, I was 12, going on 13. It was available to rent on VHS. And I was a big fan of Spider-Man, so I knew who the Green Goblin was, and I was fascinated by that Green Goblin truck, and I knew who Emilio Estevez was. I was a big fan of him, and I just had so much fun with this film, and I just rewatched it again last week, and I just love it. It's one of those films. It's got a fantastic soundtrack by AC/DC. It's got some really creepy moments, like the soda can, the machine that's firing the soda cans at the baseball coach, and then the kid getting run over by the steamroller, and then just all of the murder and mayhem going on at the Dixie Boy, and just seeing all of the amazing shirts and stuff that have come out this year from not only Gutter Guards but also Fright Rags, and recently Cavity Colors, the amazing art by Dylan Whitehead. I'm so glad that people are just embracing and loving this film. So many people have wrote it off, saying, Stephen King was high as a kite when he made it, and maybe he was, but I think he turned in a really fun film, and I feel like he's been knocked down by people, the purists, or people that think that they're so much better than he is over the years, saying that it's a shitty film or whatever because of the way it was directed and the acting. But it's got some terrific acting in it. I love Pat Hingle in it as Mr. Hendershot. He's such a prick. Also, it's great to see Frankie Faison, who I've seen in quite a few things. Yardley Smith, Walter Graham as Deke. They're all great. Everybody in the film is great. It's fun. It's just a fun film. And it's got a lot of gory moments and fun moments and exciting moments. And yeah, I can't get enough of this film. And I'm so glad, like I said, that the truck head's been restored, and they take that on tours now to different conventions. I hope one day it would come out here, but just have such a fun time watching it. But it scared me as a kid, especially the fact, like I said, anything to deal with kids, and I've said this about Salem's Lot, anything to deal with kids, and I was a kid seeing this film for the first time. That scene where that kid gets run over by that steamroller just fucked me up. And I had so much fun watching it, but it was still, that scene still to this day freaks me out. But it's such a great film, and so much fun, and I'm glad to see, like I said, that people are finally embracing it. It's going to be it, my fellow fiends. Yeah, a little longer than I thought it was going to go, but really had a lot of fun going over my favorite, the scariest Stephen King films, in my opinion. I had wanted to do this video a long time ago. I'm glad I finally found the time, and I hope everyone enjoyed this, and I want to thank everyone for their continued support of the Horror Zone channel. I'm having a blast, and I have a lot of great things coming up. There's some good stuff coming up this coming week, and I want to thank everyone for their support, and I hope everyone's doing well. I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. Fellow Fright Fiends, just want to say thank you again for supporting BoogeyMan Ben's Horror Zone. If you're brand new to the channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit the subscribe button down below, hit the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I typically do this once or twice a week with new content. I've been doing this for over 11 years, and the horror genre is a passion of mine, and it really means a lot to me that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again later. Take it easy, stay scared as always.